So there was this philosopher, Sigmund Freud, who explained that the personality is basically made up of three parts: the ID, the superego, and the ego. In simple terms, your ego represents how a person feels about themselves. The ID is the part of the person that only seeks to gratify their personal needs, especially in regards to sex and aggression, and the ego is there to check you based on things you've learned and morals you've gained throughout your individual life experience. You can kind of consider this the angel on your shoulder, your conscience that tells you every once in a while, maybe we shouldn't be doing this. And people vary greatly, from absolute egomaniac to being someone who cares about other people more than they care about themselves. Regardless, the ego literally pilots your entire life, driving most individuals to make their everyday decisions as rationally as possible in their head, for the good and the bad. When the ID takes over, the person runs off pure pleasure and what feels right in that moment to that individual. Imagine always listening to the devil on your shoulder instead of the angel, and this would kind of be the result. A superego conversely refers to the part of your brain that has been modified based on what you've experienced in the external world. Basically, a person's understanding of right and wrong. The superego includes the rules and standards for good behaviors. These behaviors include those that are approved of by parental and other authority figures as one grows up. Obeying these rules leads to feelings of pride, value, and accomplishment. Breaking these rules can result in feelings of guilt. The superego is made up of the conscious and the ego ideal. The ego ideal is often thought of as the image that we have of our ideal selves, the person that we want to become. It is this image of the ideal individual, often modeled after people that we actually know, that we hold up as the standard of who we are striving to become. I think you guys can see how this can be dangerous if your ego is formed by the wrong influences. Every once in a while, the universe creates the perfect storm and some crazy geniuses come out of nowhere. And sometimes they do bad things, but I'll get to that a little bit later. The conscious, on the other hand, is composed of the rules for which behaviors are considered bad. When we engage in actions that conform to the ego ideal, we feel good about ourselves or proud of our accomplishments. When we do things that our conscious considers bad, we experience feelings of guilt. Basically, the conscious keeps your quest for your ideal self at least somewhat realistic and down to earth. So if your quest for this ideal self is overpowering that conscious part of your brain, this is when people start to act in a manic fashion. These individuals often start speaking of accomplishing often impossible feats. Like when Fousey did all that crazy shit, standing on the hood of a car in a parking lot screaming his lungs out.
You're still talking about the little things. You're heating up your breakfast when I'm heating up my dinner. Hey! You burning in the summer while I'm bundled up in the winter.
That idealistic self-image took him over, baby. He wanted to be just like Drake. Drake! Either way, I say all this to report that Kanye, one of the biggest egomaniacs of our time, has been on a rampage of big moves lately, and I feel like no one cares. There's no buzz around this interview with Joe Rogan despite all the views it garnished. No one in the media really takes this dude serious anymore. Quite frankly, it's been years since he's been in a normal state of mind, exhibiting very manic behavior for the last 4 years or so. This is a man fueled 100% by his idealistic self-image that is going completely unchecked by the ego, or even the superego for that matter. Even when he tries to put forward a good gesture, his ID takes over and he takes the opportunity to pat himself on the back at every turn. Like, yeah, you struck it big by putting bullet holes in t-shirts and selling them for $300 to suburban white kids. And then you sold some space shoes. That doesn't mean you're the second coming of Jesus Christ, dude. Regardless, he's rich and he can pay for things like holograms of dead people. So he got a hologram for Kim Kardashian's 40th birthday of her late father, Robert Kardashian, the legendary lawyer who got OJ out of that big jam.
I swear the glove doesn't fit.
Happy birthday, Kimberly. Look at you. You're 40 and all grown up. You look beautiful, just like when you were a little girl.
And this is a beautiful, very futuristic gesture from Kanye. Her dad goes on a speech about how he's looking over Kim and her family. He talks about some inside jokes from her childhood, and even expresses how proud of her he is over her success she's garnished over the last decade. So all that was very sweet. But of course, Kanye has to go and mess it up by making the hologram say this out-of-pocket shit.
You married the most genius man in the whole world, Kanye West.
Even the hologram looks like he wasn't buying that load of shit. In my opinion, this is narcissist number 1 right here. I mean, really, what type of weird shit was that?
The most genius man in the whole world.
I mean, this guy never even knew Kanye existed before he died. Either way, I still think it's a very nice thing to do. I just think it's funny egomaniacs just can't seem to resist the temptation. And I'm sure Kanye wouldn't be so successful if he wasn't so crazy. So I don't know, I guess it's a double-edged sword. A little bit of crazy, a lot of bit of money. I think I'll take it. Also, does the fact that we can make anyone throughout the history of time, both dead or alive, look like they're saying whatever we want in their actual voice, not scare the fuck out of anyone else? I mean, really, these deepfakes are getting ridiculous. But I just wanted to cover this today because I thought it was really weird, and I really felt like sharing what I learned about the ego today. So I want to thank you for coming out to my presentation. Thank you for coming out to my TED Talk. It's been your boy JAMARI. Been here to talk about the ego for a little bit. Hope you enjoyed. I'm out. Peace.